Of all the groups to emerge from Bristol in the 60s, Force West, later to become Chicane, were one of the most prominent. Although cutting 15 singles between the years 1965 and 1976, UK chart success eluded them. The group's history can be traced back to its founder, Charlie Dobson, from Rudgway near Bristol. Charlie had been singing for as far back as he can remember. In 1962, Charlie decides to form a band and advertises for musicians in the Bristol Evening Post to put together a backing group. He calls himself Danny Clark and names the group The Jaguars in reverence to the drummer's Mark X Jag. With ever-growing recognition and demand in the Southwest, Danny Clark and the Jaguars are taken under the wing of manager Jim Buckingham, pictured above, dubbed the Brian Epstein of Bristol. In June 1964, Buckingham secures a booking for the group to be a support band for Irish group The Bachelors, who are making a live performance on the steps of the ancestral home of Lord Bath at Longleat House in Wiltshire. Due to their success at Longleat, Danny Clark and the Jaguars got a second booking, this time as the support band to the Rolling Stones. The ticket price was 2 and 6pence, 12.5 pence in today's money. In September 1964, Danny Clark and the Jaguars entered a national beat group competition held in London. The judges included Beatles manager Brian Epstein, Beatles drummer Ringo Starr and Cilla Black. Danny Clark and the Jaguars came second. In 1965, Charlie Dobson disbanded the Jaguars and teamed up with Bristol band The Diatones and ex-Chet and the Triumphs lead guitarist Brian Trusler to form a new group. The new group was named Force West to reflect the group's geographical origins. An ever-growing fan base and drawing capacity crowds wherever they performed culminated in Force West obtaining a record deal from Decca Records. In June 1965, Force West recorded its first single at Abbey Road Studios in London. This would be the first of 8 Force West singles released between 1965 and 1969. The local press gave Force West good exposure. Released in July 1969, the group's 8th and final single was a cover of the Four Seasons classic Sherry, one of Force West's showstoppers on live shows. It was decided to give the backing a reggae feel and was described on the CBS Records promo literature as having a gay blue beat. With chart success eluding them, in 1970, Charlie Dobson decided to leave the band and pursue a business career. The remaining band members of Force West reinvented themselves, changed their musical style, and relaunched themselves into the musical scene as Chicane. Continuing under the management of Jim Buckingham, Chicane secured deals with numerous record companies and released several singles from 1970 through 1976. In 1971, Big Step, written by group member Adrian Castillo, reached the #1 spot in Sweden. Chicane's final single, Jenny, was released on the 7th of May 1976. Bass player John Strange left Chicane in 1983 and was replaced by Bob Pedrick. Outstanding both musically and vocally, and with an eclectic set, the original Chicane lineup of Adrian Castillo, John Sid Phillips and Brian Trusler, plus replacement bass player Bob Pedrick, continued to play to capacity audiences until 2014, 52 years after Charlie Dobson launched his original group, Danny Clark and the Jaguars. The Lola Mystery. In 1974, when manager Jim Buckingham played this chicane recording of Lola to its writer Ray Davies of the Kinks, Davies said it was the best cover version of the song he had ever heard. The chicane recording was never released, and it has forever been a mystery as to why. Enjoy.
Boy, won't you come on with me? Well, I'm not the world's most fashionable guy, but when I